Welcome, race fans, back for the final time and in the AN division to SVR. We're at the bakingly hot and beautiful Monza circuit for a season finale packed with action. I'm absolutely sure of it. This is how things look in the standings after the penultimate round of the championship. There are Mega Racing on 299 and Delesi on 284. Still both teams in with a chance of the team title over the course of the season. Jan Interiors have 205 points with Bergstein in fourth, a little way back, with a nice group of teams still fighting over those minor placings. Bergstein in fourth, Brokaga in fifth on 146, with Kimmy's racing team on 141. Coach Dave have 120 points. In the Drivers' Championship, well, no surprises to have crowned Wask as our inaugural AN Division champion here. However, we did have it was renamed after the 2024 VR Simracing World Championship. It was in fact the S2 back then, but since we renamed it, Wask is the champion. He has obviously been incredibly consistent throughout the course of the latter part of the season. Certainly the second half of the season, he has absolutely dominated, and finishing the season on 164 points ahead of neighbour and great rival Pat Finn on 159. Comparative neighbour in Canadian terms anyway. Neither driver, due to a gentleman's agreement, decided to compete at this final round of the season, so both have been replaced, both with very similar level drivers. Wask has brought in Matt DeBater, or Matt D, for his seat, and Pat Finn has handed over to a very similarly highly rated driver dummy in the Mega team. So we will see some new faces at the front of the field, I'm sure. Then we've got Revelit in P3 on 112 points, and there's myself in fourth place, trying to hang on against Thump's fifth place resurgent form in recent weeks, and an equal amount of races competed in the end between myself and Thump. So looks like quite a tight battle there coming into the end of the season. Biggerwood is in sixth place, could still be overtaken by Rizback, who has 75 points in seventh place. Brum has moved forward in the championship and gone to eighth place with 56 points. Sparky has 50. And Yabo has 10. Hervas is in 11th place, is in joint 10th place, I should say, with Yabo, but I think will be racing, whereas Yabo will no longer be racing. Milo has 22, Bannon has 12, and at the bottom of the standing so far, M. Capas has a total of 3 points in the permanent driver category. Let's head over to paddock to see how the actual grid, I should say, to see how qualifying progressed. We've got Irish Liquid reserving for the Coach Dave team, and he's starting at the back in P11, obviously having to hastily arrange his livery, so he's gone for a dark side similar livery here, the red and black, but a little bit of IP infringement for Team Mega was the rumours at the time. This is Brum using a similar helmet designed to Pumpkin King. I'm not quite sure whether that was an homage or a random choice, but the number 69, yes, there's always one who chooses number 69. In ninth place, Rizback in eighth place, Rhino qualified in seventh. Thump, to some of the spectators' surprise, qualifying in sixth place. I think higher expectations for the Delesi team may have been in place. Hervas with an excellent fifth place for Coach Dave in the fully branded up Coach Dave Academy colours. We've got Revelit, who is in third place in the championship, hoping to hang on to that. Our Hungarian ace, previous race winner, of course, in the championship, qualifying in fourth place. This guy managed third out of some sort of bizarre fluke, but some Italian flag details and an insignia on the front there in honour of his teammate Balofay. We've got Matt for Delesi on the front row. No surprise there with Pringles Power next to his headrest. But Dummy took over Pat Finn's seat and immediately got himself onto pole position. So we'll get ready for the race. We'll see what happens on the way down. We've got the lowest ranked drivers at the start of the season who were slotted in and qualified for this division. Those lowest ranked drivers have gained some experience. We have some reserves, and we have very minimal grip and downforce in Monza. What could possibly go wrong? Let's wait to see then in the 16 laps of the Monza race here for the championship. The lights are on then for the final time for the AN division here in 2025. And it's dropped the clutch, and it's go immediately. Well away from the start goes the front row, Dummy and Matt, who have positioned themselves in a great place. We've got Hervas on the soft tyres, who's been looking to make up positions, heading down into the braking zone then first of all, and is looking a little bit long on the brake pedal is Revelit, who has to try and avoid making contact. Does manage to avoid contact initially, but then it is absolutely chaos that has domino affected all the way through this early part of the race. Lots of drivers being a little bit squashed and squeezed and struggling for grip. If you want to know what happened to the guy, the second mega driver here, I suggest you watch his live stream, because we're probably not going to focus a great deal on him. Heading back down through Curva Grande for the first time then, and Dummy leads very neatly, but it's Rizbak scorching through into provisional second position. They're going to try and go 3 wide, are they, into the Della Roggia. Late move from Matt down the inside, and it is all over the place with drivers squirreling around trying to find positioning on the way through this corner. Let's have another look then as we head down into the Della Roggia chicane. This is Rizbak on the inside line, a little squeeze possibly to Matt. Matt goes to the right, then the left, goes very long into the corner, and then it is, in fact, it's the previous leader Dummy and pole position driver who's banging and tucking and touching with Hervas on the approach into Lesmo 1. It's Rizbak who screams into the lead of the race then, and we have had absolute chaos at this early stage. Matt moving backwards down the grid as Revelit with his long brake pedal into the Rettifilio in the first time. He's managed to recover back to 4th position. Rizbak and Dummy have swapped positions somehow or other. Dummy with a great run out of Lesmo 2 manages to overcome Rizbak, who has struggled with traction on the way out, but he and Hervas go wheel to wheel on the way into Ascari corner, and it is absolutely anybody's on this ice skating rink on the outside, and there goes the second mega driver spinning out into the grass with, I think that is also Rhino then, who has had his issues. I think Rhino got a little bit out of shape possibly. Let's have another look as we run into Ascari corner. This is Rhino banging wheels with possibly with Matt, and then being struggling for grip on the outside. The two come together and synchronized spins, then back to the back of the grid, and Rhino avoiding damage. So did the second mega driver, but Dummy is well and truly in the lead of this race and clear of all the action and incidents. But then we've got a very busy parking lot heading in towards the Parabolica corner. The Thump has got ahead of Matt now. Thump up into 4th position. We've got Hervas, who's on the soft tyres, but everybody else pretty much starting on the medium tyres as they run down. And it is going to be 5 cars fighting over the entry into the Rettifilio chicane for the second time of asking. And it's Irish Liquid who's up from the very back of the grid. That's not a Team Mega car as the DeLessi squad goes side by side. Irish Liquid finds a window down the inside. A little bit of paint traded on the way through, and Brum neatly and tidily goes all the way through past Thump. Thump's gone up as high as 3rd, back down to 7th position at the start of this race, and it is absolutely anybody's here, but Brum moving forward, then Thump moving backward. We've got Irish Liquid in a fantastic debut so far in 5th position as we continue to fight on the way down into Della Roggia. There goes the black and gold Yamplacked interiors of our Hungarian ace Revelit, trying to find positions, and he's stolen one up from Thump as well, who's now down to 8th position. Running through the Lesmos, that's wide from Revelit. There is Bannon in the background, also struggling for grip at this early stage on those medium tyres as we fire on through past the Curva del Seraglio And underneath the old track, Rhino is at the tail of the field. Dummy is leading convincingly here in the 33 and able to take his own line, but side by side go Rysbach and Hervas through Ascari corner. Not for the first time. We are holding our breath as we run through, and Hervas taking second place here on those soft tyres. Very neat and tidy as we run through there. And then it is a lot of wheel banging going on the approach down towards the Ascari corner, possibly even the Delesi squad getting together there. But I think that was, whoa dear, very rude approach, but I think possibly a penalty. Let's have a second glance at this. I see Matt, who was offline here. That allows Brum to come by. What was going on there? Matt off the circuit temporarily, and then of course Bannon had a great run. The Delesi squad trying to block the track. Bannon screams through. Matt picks up a penalty for some over-exuberant runs through that Ascari corner, possibly, and we continue to fight like hell through this second racing lap in the AN division. And in the background, we've got the Delesi squad running side by side here, blocking the track side by side. Didn't really seem to work out particularly well for them on the previous run. Dummy leads Hervas and Rysbach. Revelit, Brum and Irish Liquid are going to try and run this one all the way down into the Retifilo chicane. Brum has the inside line, doesn't allow a window of opportunity for Irish Liquid to squeeze through, but then Brum masterfully round the outside, round the inside, round the outside, and then back out on the traction zone out of Retifilo. Absolutely perfect from Brum that time round. Let's have a second look at that. Well, he didn't necessarily leave space, but he had the momentum going through the corner. And the second part, it's always difficult to judge in this instance, but he managed to carry the speed through the first part of Retifilo. Here he goes then. And then, of course, he is naturally ahead on the apex of the second apex of the Retifilo. I don't see anything particularly wrong with that, but you can let me know in the comments if you disagree. So it's Revelit back to 5th, PFC Bannon down to 6th place, but looking threatening. Irish Liquid, who lost a couple places, then down to 7th position. Thump has got back ahead of Matt. And Delesi seemingly all at sea here in the final round. Thump having to work with a different teammate. And then they tangle on the way into Della Roggia, perhaps lacking a little bit of communication between Thump and Matt, possibly. But I wonder if drivers are starting to maybe lose their heads after so much contact and incident on this early part. Irish Liquid, by way of explanation, possibly down to the soft tyres, he's managed to gain those positions early on. Brum and Revelit go side by side. This is absolutely show-stopping from these drivers in the midfield here. Dummy still ahead of Hervas and Rysbach ahead. And then it is absolutely anybody's as we continue down in towards Ascari. Perhaps Revelit will go for it here onto Ascari, but Brum takes ownership of the corner, but he was over-speeding into the corner, unfortunately for Brum. And he spins out. And unfortunately goes back down the order. So rejoining on the approach, and then second Mega driver trying to recover his race gets ahead of Matt and the inside line on the way through, on the way into Parabolica, but can't carry the momentum on the way out of Parabolica. Up ahead though, we've got Revelit and Bannon continuing to battle. These Red Bull Junior Adrian Newey design cars, absolutely fantastic for slipstream action on the way through this Monza circuit. But of course, all the drivers have had to dial out that downforce in order to make it happen. And trying to negotiate Retifilo this time. It's Thump ahead of Webbo, ahead of Matt. And Mega and Delesi, of course, at complete loggerheads at the top of the championship. And it's all important then as to how they continue through. There goes Thump, there goes Matt, and myself just fighting through Curva Grande, trying to hold on to the inside line here down into Della Roggia, braking very late, just about avoiding contact. That was mostly thanks to Matt, I think, in that instance. But holding on to position, and then it is Bannon and Thump going side by side on the way through Lesmo 1. It's not no easy way forward there. Irish Liquid and Matt side by side through Lesmo 1 as well. Matt just having to get off the throttle to avoid action. Matt is trying to certainly having his patience tested, I think, so far in this race. There is Revelit as we head down towards Ascari corner. It is lap 4 of the 16. Of course, the drivers have to change tyre compound onto the medium or soft, depending on what they started on. And there goes the Mega Driver, completely destroying his race and spinning at Ascari for the second time. And there is Dummy then leading for Team Mega, the holding up Team Mega's bid here for the Constructors title, as Hervas comes through in P2 and is chasing him down, but is on a softer compound of tyres, and those soft compound tyres on the heavy fuel load at the start of the race are struggling already, I think, into the start of lap 5. Side-by-side action once again down this main straightaway as Bannon is just ahead of Thump on the approach. Thump has the inside line. Would he dare go for it here? Bannon is not defending, but he felt with some confidence that Thump was not able to challenge there, and knows, of course, that Thump is trying to go for 4th place in the championship. We run back down through the order. Thump in 6th, Matt in 7th, Irish Liquid in 8th, Rhino in 9th, Brum in 10th, and then the second Mega Driver with huge damage on the car, unable at this stage to even get anywhere near the top speed required. You can almost see the car leaning over to one side with massive damage on the car. So having to make a decision whether to get off those medium tyres or continue running here. The medium tyres would typically run the majority of the race. 12 to 14 laps was probably the plan for a lot of the drivers here. There is Hervas coming through on the soft tyres, and obviously a very big ask to try and change and just one stop this race if you're going to stop at the end. So caught very much in two minds here and asking advice from engineers if we can make a change to strategy, but fully expecting it to be a two-stopper if we change off the mediums at this stage. Thump comes through. Ascari, I think Thump might have caught had a go there. Oh, that was partly down to Bannon, who was very much hanging around in the on the racing line there and trying to recover the car. You can't blame him for that. Of course, he went off at the entry point to Ascari. Here comes Matt to fight with Bannon. Just swiping across the front, possibly of his teammate, and taking his teammate's front wing performance away from him. Thump taking the racing line into the corner, but I think that probably hampered Matt, and Bannon has timed his run out quite nicely as we run, tries to get a little bit more slipstream. They were absolutely together over the line. Here comes Bannon then on the outside. This is the better braking zone for the corner, but Thump may be running out of patience to fight with him. Thump on the inside line. Bannon trying to hold off the approach from Matt. A little stall, a little stop or hesitation at the apex, and they continue then as they were through Rettifilo, and for once drivers managing to negotiate their way through comfortably. Bannon in P6 then. He has Thump ahead, Matt behind, but he really is costing Delesi here in their bid for the Constructors' Championship, to which he cares absolutely not a jot. Matt struggling then round Della Roggia. Not quite sure what happened. Let's have another look at Matt's trip through Della Roggia, going for a late move down the inside, but almost coming to disaster and wiping his teammate out. And again, you've got to wonder whether it's worth disrupting team unity on the way through. Bannon on the outside, getting the squeeze from Thump. I'm not quite sure the rights and wrongs of that one, but that is disastrous for Bannon, and I don't imagine he's feeling particularly happy about that treatment. Let's have a look. He takes to the outside because the defence was the inside, but is there racing room left in order to brake on the way into Lesmo? That's a question for the comments and of course for the stewards later on, but that is a big problem for Bannon, who's down into 10th position. With only the absolute joker behind him here. We've got a half-second penalty to pay for dummy. Perhaps getting bored out there in front in the 33 with Hervas in P2, the Spaniard in what is fast becoming the Hispanic racing team here across the divisions with Coach Dave. I think they will take all applications as long as you speak Spanish for the 2026 VR Simracing World Championship. Rizbak in the Kimi's racing team, Ferrari-powered Adrian Newey Red Bull Jr. is in 3rd place and looking in a great place, actually. A lot of well wishes and goodwill towards Rizbak lately. And there is Hervas in the pits then at the end of lap 7. He went pretty long on a first starting amount of 60 litres of fuel on the car. That was pretty impressive from him. Here is Revelet in P3 now, thanks to Hervas's pit stop. We've got Thump in 4th. Matt has obviously slotted into 5th place. Very high expectations of Matt here, but his first competitive race, as far as I'm aware, in VR, and I think it starts to the pressure starts to tell. Obviously, this has been somewhat chaotic as well. He's not carrying any damage that I can see, but he needs to try and get himself into a rhythm now. But I think playing the supporting role for Thump, causing a little bit of confusion between the two. But he is ramping up the pace now. He's treated those tyres carefully at the start of the race, and now hopefully able to get into a bit of a rhythm with some confidence with Thump in front of him. Thump, just to remind you, the Delesi trying to beat Mega for the Constructors title. Thump trying to beat myself for 4th place in the championship. I love the fact that Matt's got a Mandalorian helmet, or a Jango Fett, Boba and Jango Fett helmet version of the Mandalorian, I do believe, as his helmet. I hope I've got that one right. There is Rhino in the sunshine in the Buckstein Transport Service car, and also putting in a personal best time. So Rhino really locked in right now. Here is Irish Liquid, and he has stayed out on the soft tyres, and I think might regret this, but that's a 154.4, his fastest lap actually, on lap 6 on the soft tyres. So as the fuel comes off, he's managed to protect those tyres nicely. But the other soft starter, Hervas, is starting to catch Irish Liquid here. Bannon and Brum will double B their way down towards the Parabolica. Bannon ahead of Brum then, but Brum outside to inside switchback manoeuvre, and they will go. That's nice racing from the two of them. But who can progress in towards securing this, what will now be 8th position? Bannon and Brum, a little touch, a second touch, possibly even a third touch, as Brum is trying to get a second sip of that, to use Brum's terminologies, a sip of that slipstream, and oh, that was wild. I think possibly, I don't know if there was a brake test even on the way in towards Retifilio. But we usually brake around the 150, but oh, that was much stronger on the brakes for Bannon than for Brum. I don't want to cast any aspersions. I'm sure there was nothing deliberate in it, but if we have a look at the brake trace on the left of the speed here, I wonder if we just hit the brakes a little bit later than we were planning to. I mean, obviously we're fully braked, but we are a bit late. We did get a nerf from behind, though, as a result of both braking in the same line on the way into the corner. Something that we try to avoid, if at all possible, when we're that close, just for that exact eventuality. But Brum through. No damage on the front of his car, no damage on the back of Bannon's car. But the big question marks in the mind here on lap 8 as to who was at fault for that one, if anyone. It could just be a straightforward racing incident, of course. We've got Hervas in 7th place. He's on the medium tyres. We're half distance of this race, almost certainly for our leader, Dummy, who is managing here to very much impress. Matt and Thump have swapped positions at this stage. Matt unlocking his pace now, and Thump, I think, perhaps just overheating the tyres a little bit, or he may have suffered a track limit penalty, and it's just kind of been an automatic thing on lap 7. But clearly there's a gap between the two Delesi drivers. Behind them, Rhino, who's reserving today, looking good for Buckstein Transport Service, 2 places ahead of his teammate at this stage, and I believe on the same strategy. There he is, yes, Brum on the same strategy. I did pit for soft tyres, well ahead of when I was planning to, and was now trying to think about ways in which, and asking for help from my live viewers and engineer, how exactly else I'm supposed to make these soft tyres run. But I was fully expecting at this stage to have to 2-stop. Bannon in 11th place, and this then is Revelet in 2nd. Now we've missed what happened to Risbach, who was in 2nd place. I don't necessarily want to show what's happened to Risbach, but we'll try and see. It was well, this was a long time ago. Excuse me for that. So we're just just a little bit late on the brakes and then into the gravel on the exit. Very, very innocuous. There was a little swap behind as well, but I think that was just long into the phase there of the braking for Rysbach, who ended up, unfortunately for him, dropping his second position. He made it sound post-race like it was much more drastic than it actually ended up being there. I think he was okay. It was just long on the brake zone into Rettifilo. We've got Matt in P4, chasing down then provisional podium position. If he can overcome Rysbach, we'll keep an eye on this one for the time being. Dummy ahead of Revelit, your top two. Dummy the length of the back straight ahead of Revelit here. And going into Ascari is scary enough, but going into Ascari with drivers in front or behind of you ramps up the fear factor on the way through there. But so far, Rysbach hanging on. It's USA, it's Hungary, and it's France before a triple USA driver combination through here on the International VR Sim Racing World Championship AN division. And that was Matt just getting a bit of understeer into Parabolica, following Rysbach closely behind, but he'll get the slipstream as they run through. Rysbach starting to defend to the middle of the track. I think he may need to commit more, but Matt has settled into the outside lane. They are almost level as they approach the braking zone. Rysbach onto the brakes, off the brakes again, it looked like. And then they collide on the way into the corner, as is so often the case. I think accepting blame in the moment there, Rysbach, and allowing Matt to go through, but that has halted his momentum. Could have been a little bit less generous there, Rysbach, but Matt has got through, and that could bring Thump into the fray here. Rysbach down to 4th position. Brum's in the pits with 6 laps to go, refueling at this stage. That was about on the money there for the medium tyre life, or at least opening the window for the soft tyres to start working, as Rysbach, our Frenchman, is in P4. Thump in 5th, and Rhino very close behind here in 6th position there for Buxtein Transport Service. Thump running through the Lesmos, and will be eyes fully focused on the Kimmys Racing Team rear wing in front of him here at this stage. Certain parts of the track, the afternoon Italian sun were quite problematic, I have to say. There's a yellow flag up ahead of the drivers. Is that Revelit who's had a problem, perhaps? I think it might be. Yeah, Revelit struggling through the corner. Let's maybe replay that and see what happened. It's just one of those Ascari issues that so often plague our drivers. Into Ascari, the first part looking okay, but wow, don't often see that one as he tries to restart. Now there's very little he can do to stop an unsafe rejoin here, but he gets that inside lane, and that has somewhat blocked the racing line on the way through for Matt, who had to hesitate once again, and 3 wide we go down towards Parabolica. How about this from Rysbach? A 2 for 1 overtake for Rysbach. Down into Parabolica we go, and that was timed very conveniently, I think, for the Frenchman, as Matt is in that 3rd position now, and the drivers queue up to go into the pit lane all together. Wow, that is going to be very tight, and it will depend on how much fuel they dare not put in their car, if you take my meaning. Matt has held on to more fuel than anybody else, so should get ahead of the group here. We'll keep an eye on these pit stops, because that is going to be quite important as they come out. Of course, you can see the order in which they went into the pit lane here, the drivers, but we wait to see Matt. I'm imagining Matt will exit the pits first. There he is, because he had 2 litres extra fuel in the car, and that means slightly less time on the refueling phase. So it translates to a big difference maker there. The driver's having to be very careful on pit exit as well, tempting as it is to steer left onto the racing line into Rettifilo. Revelit down to 6th place from 2nd there, and Rhino then staying in that 7th place, but close behind. There's a talk about close behind. There's a long distance back to P8 with Brum in 9th place. He's on new soft tyres, and we'll certainly have the Mega Driver in his sights, because the Mega Driver has been on those soft tyres for a long stint already and has to make them last the remainder of this race. Brum in 9th, Irish Liquid in 10th place. Bannon down, having gone into the pits here, and is at the back of the grid. Dummy is the longest stop out, I think, and comes in with 6 litres of fuel remaining. This was the Team Mega Plan A, and everything going very, very much to that Plan A for Dummy. And of course, fantastic pace as well. Here is Hervas in 2nd place. Matt then, having got the most amount of track between himself and other drivers so far in this race, I think, on this 11th lap, is in 3rd place. Rysbach will try and put pressure on him to make a mistake and give up a track limit penalty. It is wide open still for the podium, this AN season finale race. And we have Thump in P5, Revelit running in 5th place, Rhino in 7th. Revelit in 6th. I missed out Thump, I think, but we've got Rhino in 7th place nonetheless. So Rysbach with Thump directly behind him here. Might be within striking distance as they close in on the Retifilo. There's Rysbach just keeping an eye on his right-hand mirror and getting a little nerf in the rear there for his trouble. I wonder if he was a little bit too cautious, but Thump perhaps normally blame applies to the driver behind hitting the one in front. So I'm not quite sure the rights and wrongs of that either. We'd need a side-by-side braking trace comparison, I think, to prove any blame. But Rysbach receiving a little bit of contact from the rear there from Thump. But so far the driver's avoiding any kind of damage. Revelit is catching these two though as they negotiate the middle sector of the Monza circuit. Rhino for Bergstein Transport Service in P7. We are near the danger zone on the soft tyres with 4 laps to go here, and a very damaged Mega racing car. Just a little close-up of the Italian details there. So that's the only thing that this driver did right for the race. Brum in P9 continues to chase me down and pile on the pressure as if I needed any more of it. Revelit in P6, watching and waiting for an error to come from in front, possibly Thump, possibly from Rysbach, but Dummy, Hervas, Matt are your provisional podium positions. It has calmed down a little bit, but no lap is without danger for any driver. Even Dummy in front is going to be thinking about not making mistakes and being relieved when he survives a scarring. Here comes Thump with a great run on Rysbach. Now Rysbach has typically taken the middle of the road on the way into the corner. Thump caught in 2 minds. Does he go for the inside or the outside? Rysbach though holds that inside lane. They should be able to go side by side through here, and Rysbach clearly makes that one very apparent that he believed his racing line stood through the Retifilo chicane. Thump may have a different opinion on it, the number 58 here, but like I say, he's trying to significantly outscore the second Mega driver to try and nab 4th place. Revelit should hold on to 3rd place in the championship, even with a no score at this stage. But he's running in 6th position then. Like I say, one of our round winners. I think it was Daytona that Revelit managed to win. And he has also been on the podium twice more at the start of the season. But it's been a while for Revelit since he's made it onto the podium, and I think he'd love to finish the season on a high, as would everybody. I do know that some of the regular season AN drivers who have had to watch Wask and Pat throughout the course of this season dominate, we're looking forward to a chance at a clear shot at a podium with the other with their peers, and then in come the aliens to take over their teammates' seats. But such is the Constructors' Championship and our racing rules as things stand. So it fully allowed for this turn of events. Hervas is on the medium tyres, and big gap in front to Dummy, and a decreasing gap it looks like to Matt behind, but still we watch Rysbach and Thump. Rysbach taking what is now his line on the inside lane, fully over to the pit lane exit side of the track. Matt forced to go to the outside, and Rysbach, I'm sure, will try and do the same thing again. Rysbach just about staying on track, but that's not going to work, unfortunately. He just miscalculated the grip available on the way in on these soft tyres late in the race, and Rysbach losing out not just to Thump but to Revelit as well, and that is going to hurt. I think that puts Thump and Matt in 3rd and 4th positions here for Delesi. Revelit though won't let Thump get away with this without some pressure, I'm sure. Revelit in now 5th position, so he made a net gain of 1 over Rysbach essentially as they went through. It's like 14 of the 16 as Dummy leads us ahead of Hervas, and Matt in 3rd position. How is Hervas doing? Well, he's heading into Ascari then for his 14th time, and he'll be he's very well trained from his team leader and captain Vader, of course. And just to give you a spoiler warning before I say it, Vader, the S1 and overall champion of the Formula divisions here in the 2025 VR Sim Racing World Championship, so you couldn't probably ask for a faster teammate and captain. Matt in P3, definitely starting to put the pressure on here. Rysbach is dropping back now that he's lost that 3rd position. Looks like his underlying speed struggling, or he used too much of the tyres at the start of the race. Could just be cooling them and preparing himself for a hot couple of laps. But unfortunately he's not able to put a lot of pressure here on Thump or Revelit towards the end of the race. What news further back? Well, Rhino again is not as quick as the top 6 and is losing ground at this stage. He's got damage on the car, has Rhino, so he's possibly a little bit vulnerable. We've got the second Mega Driver, who is doing his best to stay on the track, I think, at this point. I think heading into Lesmo had a big swap round and a lot of opposite lock. Irish Liquid in 9th. Brum has lost ground as well, unfortunately. He was closing in on P8 but has slipped back to P10, and then Bannon at the back after a race that promised so much early on in the proceedings. This is Dummy coming through the Parabolica corner to start his final lap of this season finale race. Beautiful Mega Racing colours in the Italian sunshine. Slight concerns about overheating with the black and the dark colour scheme in these hot conditions, and Hervas is definitely under threat now on the medium tyres to Matt as we go in towards what could be a very important final portion, final lap of this race for the podium. It looks like Thump and Revelit might be too far away to really be fighting over these final 4th and 5th positions then, but Matt absolutely in lockstep behind Hervas, trying to use the slipstream, trying to pressurize the Spaniard into a mistake. Hervas, this would be, I think, a season best result if he can get himself on the podium full stop, but second, obviously better than the 3rd place as he tries to close out here, but he had a little bit of a traction oversteer moment coming out of the Red Filo chicane, crosses over the front wing of Matt without contact, but certainly will affect Matt's run. Hervas then using the middle of the road option, but this racing track is so wide on the way into Della Roggia. Matt tries to go around the outside, becomes the inside. There is contact at the corner, puts Hervas into the gravel, and there would definitely be a question mark over the legitimacy of that overtake. Let's have a look as we head down in. Hervas has the apex, leaves room on the inside, and then frankly, I think Matt making contact with the Cheeto curb on the outside, but taking the position nonetheless, and he will fight this out in the steward's room later. He's trying to hold on then to 2nd position, but I don't imagine Hervas is particularly pleased with that one. Thump in 4th, Revelit in 5th. We've got Rysbach 6th and Rhino 7th. Then myself, Irish Liquid, Brum, Bannon, but Dummy is coming through the final corner of the Parabolica here in Monza. As the fans rise to their feet, the Tifosi will have some sympathy for the red flashes on the car and Dummy wins his first and probably only race in the AN division at the season finale here, and a fabulously dominant display there for Team Mega. As Matt comes through, he's got a significant lead now ahead of Hervas. So Matt, I think, will just need to get the exit correct out of Parabolica, and on the road at least, the Mandalorian helmet Delesi driver, the number 710, Matt, in his first competitive VR race, completes a P2 on the road. Hervas in P3 for Coach Dave. He'll be very pleased, I'm sure, to get a podium, whether it's third or second. I think that represents a terrific job from him. Thump in fourth, Revelit in fifth, and Rizbak home in sixth position. Great points for their respective teams there, Delesi, Jamplacht and Kimmies. We've got Rhino with a really good result for the Bergstein Transport Service team in seventh. Shamefaced and deeply upset with himself, Mega driver here through in eighth place, but Irish Liquid representing very well. A climb of 3 positions then for Coach Dave, and I think quite a late call to reserve drive. He comes through in 9th, Brum in 10th, and Bannon will be your last driver to cross the finish line. It's Dummy who is your dominant victor here in Monza. Well, thanks everybody. Let's have a quick look then at the post-race situation. I think it might be a little bit early to absolutely decide this one. I think things were still pending a race review, but some decisions had been made, so I can see that there have been some post-race penalties decided. What I'm quite surprised to see here is there's nothing between Matt and Hervas at the end of the race, but some penalties were applied. Bannon, Rhino, Brum twice picking up penalties, and there are a couple of things still under investigation here. It looks like we've got the Revelit situation was, I think, lap 1 turn 1, and the Matt and Dummy contact into, I think that must have been lap 1 turn 2 essentially, or the second chicane anyway. So some question marks over the overall result. But I'm somewhat surprised that Hervas didn't go ahead and appeal that that penultimate lap situation. But you can see the final results at time of publication, probably race number 92. But it's info.svr-racing.com, and navigate from the calendar. What I can tell you is that that puts Mega Racing almost certainly in the position to have won the championship. 325 plays 310 points in the end, and that was a close battle all the way through the season, as you can see on the chart here. So that was a phenomenally close run, and Mega had an early lead, but have slowly but surely been caught by Delesi, but not quite enough, as they've been on almost a par all the way through the final 4 races of the championship. Well, thanks everybody. Appreciate your patronage throughout the course of this AN season. As awkward as it has been for me to call, certainly very grateful for everyone who has tuned in week after week and pressed all the buttons underneath the video on the YouTube channel as well. Appreciate the opportunity to be here and to hopefully entertain you all. Thank you so much for watching. This is from us here at SVR's AN Division, and from me, Webbo. We will catch you on the next race day.